Hi everyone, I'm LALABAD. Welcome. Today I am doing a tag, and the tag is if I can only keep 10 eyeshadow palettes, which palettes would they be? And this one was very hard for me to do because I'm a very sentimental person, and that had a lot to do with my picking of the palettes. I don't know. That's just me. That's how I be. I'm gonna go through the palettes. I'm not doing 1 through 10 or 10 through 1. I'm just giving you, if there was a fire and I had to save 10 of my palettes, these are the ones that would go with me. I might have to leave my husband behind, to be honest with you. But the pile that I have here sitting next to me, this is one on top. This is the Through My Eyes by Colorpop, and I love Sarahi. I don't even know who that is. I didn't even know this was a collab, to be honest with you. This was given to me by, I believe it was Ipsy. But the palette is really beautiful. I know it looks like I didn't touch it, but I've touched this palette. I actually came up with one of my favorite looks. I'll put it here. This look that I did was from this palette. And I've got so many compliments from that look. So this definitely is a favorite. Those colors. Okay, tell me those are not beautiful. That's why I like this palette. The next palette I chose is because you can get a lot done with this one palette. This is the Tarte Clay Play palette. This is their very first Clay Play palette. But you can contour with this palette. You can set with this palette, and you can also do just like a everyday makeup look. I like that there's a black. The black is pretty good color. And this is one of their palettes that they actually have like a really good formula. But let me show you here. Those colors together make a really great smoky eye, and that's why this is on the list. This is an oldie but goodie. So this is one of the palettes that I got sentimental on. This is the Eye Magic palette. This palette was given to me as a birthday gift from my best friend forever. She got a really good deal. She turned me on to this palette, to this brand, Eye Magic. But it's a 16 color eyeshadow palette. This is what she looks like. I think she's very beautiful. Now the shimmers, you would think, because you know it's like you know, a brand that no one really knows about. But let me show you. Those shimmers are not to play with, okay? This palette costs, I believe, $3 to $7, depending on where you go, AliExpress or Wish, or wherever you might find it. Amazon even carries it. But it's not only the shimmers. But those colors, this palette it is legit. The next palette is a Juvias Place palette. This is the Warrior 2 palette by Juvias Place. I really love Juvias Place's artwork. I am an artist, and I can appreciate when there's just something so stunning. And this packaging that Juvias Place has, it's always so colorful, so vibrant, and so beautiful. And I love that it represents. I really do love that part. But this is a palette. The sister palette to this, which is the Warrior 1, it's mostly shimmers. And I like this one because it's all matte. And again, a great smoky eye. If y'all don't know now, y'all should know by now that I really love a great black, great smoky eye. I'm gonna swatch the black, the orange, this light orange, and this brown, so you can just check out the pigmentation, because it's no joke. Juvias Place doesn't play with pigmentation. Am I lying or not? The next palette is a BH Cosmetics palette, and I really, really like this palette. This is one of my first BH Cosmetics palettes. I really love this palette because it is an all-in-one palette. I've used this palette many of times. Did I say it's called It's My Ray Ray? It's My Ray Ray. But it has contouring. And it really surprised me that it's actually a contour for a darker skin tone person. And that's rare. We all know this. But it also has this really beautiful highlights. And then it has 18 pans of really beautiful pigmented eyeshadows. Okay, the next palette is the palette that has turned me on to Anastasia Beverly Hills, is this palette here. This is the Jackie Aina palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the palette that did it for me. This is the one that turned me into an ABH slut. But this is what she looks like. I know it looks messy. I should have like cleaned off my palettes, but I wanted to show y'all what's real. These colors are so beautiful. I love the color scheme. I love the color story. I had to pick this palette up for sure. I mean, what's to even hate about this? You can't find nothing about this palette that you might not like. Besides maybe the fallout, but it is what it is. Okay, another palette that is very nostalgic for me, or very sentimental, would be this palette here. This is the Burn Book palette by Storybook Cosmetics. This is a Mean Girls palette. Now, the reason why this is so nostalgic to me is because this movie was a movie that got me and my niece we bonded over this movie. Even though like some of it looks like it wouldn't go together, I still like each color individually. That right there is a look. Next palette is a company that I found on Instagram. I saw the owner do an eye look and I was like, whoa, that's really beautiful. And then she did swatches and I got lost in her page. It was this palette here. This is the Jamrock palette. This is the original, her very first palette. This is Plain in Makeup by Yolanda. It's very colorful, very, very colorful. Right here it is, y'all. Yes. I feel like a lot of these are matte. I only see like one. This blue one, it has glitter in it, but it's definitely a matte. But they're like really good color choices. And you can get a lot, I feel like you can get a lot of looks out of that palette. So that's why it's on my list. The next palette I have is another brand that I found on Instagram, and then I went and looked at some YouTube videos on it, and then I also like the idea of the palette. This is the Pizza palette by Glamlight. Now this is a small company, but they're getting really big. Let me tell you, they're getting really big. But I like the concept. I love food. I'm a foodie. And I love makeup, 2-in-1 right here, honey. But when you, the package, by the way, the box to this is actually a pizza box, which was so cute when I got it in the mail. But when you open it up like this, you got a really huge mirror. You can bend back the mirror. And this right here, all these colors are toppings. You have red onions, bacon, cheese, pineapple. It's really interesting. But I love the colors that you get from here. I always go for this orange. Every time I do a look that I need a really bright orange, I go for that orange every time. I love the yellow. I'm gonna do the black. It's black olives. And then I'm gonna do this red onion. Look at that yellow. So the last palette is actually my favorite. This palette is the palette that I reach for when I just really want to sit down for like an hour or two and just really blend and play in. It's this palette here. This is a Morphe palette. This is a 39A Dare to Create palette. Now, when they first made this palette, it was just a special edition and they were sold out, and they were out for a long time, but people kept looking for it and they were requesting it, so they came back out with it. I don't know about the formula, but this is what she looks like. This is the palette that James, what's that guy's name? James Charles tried to copy. Okay, this is what he tried to do. This palette is a beautiful palette. Now these colors are all meant for transition colors. You have your reds, your browns, your blues, and your greens and olives and darker colors down here. I always use these colors when I come. Let me tell you, I always do a look with these, always. And there's a brass color that I use all the time. Where is she? Oh, it's this one here. Oh, I love this palette. I really, really love this palette. I do. But here she is. Now, I know those are some colors that people might be turned off on, but that green right there, I love this green. It's so pretty. That is a palette that turned me on to, I call it doo-doo green, but that's the palette that turned me on to it. I really love this. And because I love smoky eyes, as you can see, these colors are deep. There's nothing really too bright. It's all deep. And I like that. I love this blue. Oh my God, these blues. Let me show you. Okay. All right, everybody. I hope you liked my choices. I think they're pretty good choices. I think that I love that my list had a little sentimental in there. I like that. Because that's what I am. I'm a very sentimental person. So I like that my list had that. And I think I picked some really good choices. There's something to love about all these palettes. I hope that I inspired you to check out some of these palettes and maybe add some of these to your collection. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.